My mind is always moving, and sometimes I need to remind myself that it's okay to be bored. Welcome back to the podcast. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, especially if there's any topics that you'd like me to talk about. I love to hear it. I love to have conversations with you guys. One thing I've realized in the last, especially 2 years, is that I'm really bad at being bored, which is ironic because I'm bored all the time. I always heard people say, if you're bored, you're boring. And I kind of always took offense to that. I learned something recently. So really this is just a diary of everything I've learned through talking with my counselor in the last year-ish. Honestly, just talking about these kind of things I feel like is really important. After spending months trying to convince my counselor that I don't have ADHD, she in fact convinced me that I do have ADHD. It's not anything that I feel like I've needed to be on medication for. Maybe someday I will. You can listen to my last episode. I talked about medication a lot, why sometimes you might feel like you do need to be on it, why sometimes you might feel like you don't need to be on it, and really playing with the possibilities. And in this case, I learned that I don't need to be on medication for it, at least right now. Again, that might change. All this to be said, I have learned that I have some ADHD, and with that, my mind is always going. It's running at 100 miles per hour. I always feel like I need to be doing something. When I'm actively doing stuff though, it's not like I'm just doing one thing. It's like I'm doing a million things. I am constantly doing things and constantly being bored because I don't have enough to do. So I have a lot of friends who have asked me, how in the world do you do all of what you do? For reference, I am a double major in college studying neuroscience and economics. I am a full-time college student. I was working 20 hours a week. And then I also have my podcast and I'm in a lot of extracurricular activities that oftentimes end up taking up multiple hours per week. I honestly don't know how I do it. I have kind of always been this way. In high school, I was always working on homework. I was always doing stuff. I was also always in pretty much every single extracurricular there could be, all this stuff. And I think on one hand, that's just who I am. I think on one hand, I enjoy doing all of that and I have been able to find a balance with it. But on the other hand, it might be a little bit of the ADHD in terms of I do feel like I always need to be doing something. And so, for example, a lot of that tends to go towards my company, the podcast. And if I did do everything else and I can't think of anything else to do, I will usually end up working on the podcast and stuff. So that's not why it started, but part of why I think I've been able to stay consistent on it is because I do get bored very easily because my mind just runs at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And I don't think that that's just because of the ADHD. I think that I really have come up with ways to balance that I'm not stressing myself out with it. I love all that I do and I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I don't think that that's just, oh, I have ADHD, so I can do that, right? I don't really feel like it changed anything by knowing that diagnosis versus not knowing that diagnosis. The only thing it changed is understanding a little bit more about why I maybe do the things that I do. But I'm still the person I am. I am constantly doing things and I do get really bored easily and I do like to have my brain kind of stimulated at all moments. I don't think that comes from that. I think it comes from the fact that we as humans are constantly stimulating our brains. We're constantly surrounded by things. If you're bored, you can open TikTok and you're being stimulated at 1,000,000 seconds an hour. You're scrolling, sometimes even as little as 4 seconds, you look at something until you scroll again. And that's just how we are as humans these days. We have all of this information at our fingertips and it has taught me that I need to force myself to be bored sometimes in a way that's not like, oh, I just don't know what to do, I'm being lazy, but in a way that's like, I maybe don't have anything I'm actively working on right now, and that's okay. I think that that's something we're meant to have as humans, and I've found that it's actually really difficult for me. Sometimes, if I'm not already in the habit, sometimes sitting down and doing meditation, really difficult for me because I'm constantly thinking of all the other things I could be doing instead of sitting literally doing nothing. But it has been really helpful for me because I find that when I'm constantly doing something and not taking breaks and not allowing myself to be with myself, I end up feeling worse. I end up feeling the best when I'm allowing myself to have time to myself, whether that mean a nighttime routine, a morning routine, a little bit of yoga or stretching, a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of philosophy, whatever it ends up being. I am thinking I might take up journaling again. all of these different things can be really helpful for you in getting that practice, that mindfulness practice in your day-to-day. And so when I am bored these days, I've been trying to allow myself to embrace it, to realize I don't need to have a plan. I don't need to know what I'm going to be doing every hour of the day. I don't even need to know what I'm going to be doing the next hour. I can allow myself to be a little lazy sometimes. It's a Monday right now. Podcasts come out on Tuesday, right? I'm recording this a day before. In the past, that was kind of rare that you would see me do this. And I'm allowing myself to take things one day at a time now. With having the podcast, a lot of times I need to do things like market, which means a lot of social media because it's an online platform. A lot of the marketing ends up being online. And I have a really bad relationship with social media. I think part of it is because my mind is constantly going a million miles per hour. I have found that if I'm on social media, that is the first thing I do when I'm bored, or even just thinking about like, I don't know what to do. Instead of actually thinking about it or actually giving myself time to just be, I immediately open my phone and start looking at social media. I'm not saying this is everyone. I know that this is a me thing, and maybe other people can relate to it or maybe not. But I have actually deleted all social media on my phone. I don't have Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I mean, I don't have any social media on my phone, and that has changed my life because now if I want to check social media, I totally can. I can get on my computer and look at stuff, but one, it's a lot harder to scroll on it for hours on end on your computer, but also I am a lot more intentional about it because it's not just like I pick up my phone out of my pocket, out of my purse, wherever I am, and I'm able to just scroll for hours. If I'm in a waiting room, like the other day, I was at a dentist appointment and I was in the waiting room and I just sat there. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't doing anything. I just sat there and I waited. And that was something that actually was really difficult for me. And I found that it's important to be able to do those things, because when I am consciously making that effort and I'm embracing it, that is when I'm in a better mood altogether. So recently, with all of the marketing and learning how to, I guess, have a podcast, because I'm still learning. It's been how many years and I still am learning about it. I pay a lot of attention to myself and how I'm feeling in the process, because I know that if I'm feeling burnt out, what I'm giving is not going to be as good quality. I want what I'm giving to be the best quality that I can. So I need to be doing things to be helping myself rather than burning myself out, and eventually it will fall apart. So things like recently I started posting on TikTok again for a little bit of the marketing aspect, also just a little bit more of the community aspect, all of those things. And I found that I had TikTok on my phone for about 2 days, and it was so difficult for me because I was constantly thinking, I can make this into a TikTok. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Like, I never stopped working. My brain was constantly moving, and it felt like everything was work. Even being out and about with family felt like work because I was thinking, hey, that's cute over there. I could take a video of that. Hey, that's like, and I decided to tell myself, no, you know what? I'm not doing that. So I deleted TikTok. I got TikTok Studio instead, so I can post things from there, but it's a lot harder to consume on TikTok Studio. So I don't see it and I don't just open it and scroll on it. And then one day a week, I will go on and I will see any of the videos I took, any stuff that seems cute, that seems interesting, and I will actually make the content and I will schedule it for the next week or two. Instead of doing it every single day and not really knowing when work starts and when it ends. That to me is just the general aspect of kind of everything that I have to work on, is I need to remind myself to stay in the moment because I really do struggle with it. And having so much online, whether it's work like it is for me, whether it's just scrolling, whether it's just fun, it's a little bit of everything, I think, for me. And no matter how you use social media or what you use it for, I think that having that consciousness to it is really important. So I don't have Instagram on my phone, but I do usually look at Instagram every day or every few days just to catch up, see if there's anything new that I want to see. I also will be posting usually every day on my stories because I have Facebook Meta Suite, so I can post from my phone, but I can't actively consume from my phone. If any of that makes sense, I found these little tiny habits that have helped me reduce the amount of things that I can do when I don't know what to do, so then I can allow myself to focus on more mindful things. I think we avoid being bored because it's uncomfortable. It makes us feel like we are doing something wrong, or almost sometimes the way that our brains work, it makes it almost feel like there's danger coming. No one likes to be uncomfortable, and so we avoid being bored because we don't like that discomfort. I have tried to allow myself to feel that and to feel like, yeah, I don't really know what to do right now, and that's okay. Sometimes that means, hey, maybe I'll watch a show right now. Sometimes it means, hey, maybe I'll read, maybe I'll call someone, or maybe I'll just sit. But by allowing ourselves to do that, it allows us to have a little bit more understanding of our brain and almost control of our brain. It allows us to manage it better. And I honestly have found a big impact with it. I found that I am a happier person. I feel healthier. I feel in more control of my emotions. And I feel like I have a little bit more of a grasp on myself. So the next time you're bored, try embracing it. Try seeing what happens if you allow yourself to be bored. And sometimes for me, that means sitting down and being like, yeah, I feel uncomfortable right now, and that's okay. Because sometimes it might mean that you just have to allow yourself to embrace that for a little bit. It's really uncomfortable, but having these little habits to help you understand who you are and understand your habits that are maybe not conscious habits are going to help you be closer to yourself and understand yourself more and feel like, I don't want to say control, but feel like you have a better grasp on what you're doing and how you're feeling. Make sure to let me know your thoughts. What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? And I'll see you next time.